Hey, this is Bryce, and thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel, Jacket Trades. February was kind of a slow month for us with videos. I've been busy with RC, but I haven't really been making a lot of videos, or at least publishing videos. I've been trying to capture content as much as I can, but I just kind of wasn't feeling it. So hopefully March will be a better month for us. In this video, I'm going to kind of share my love for Team Losi products and do an unboxing of my brand new Team Losi Mini JRXT. Let's get into a little bit of the history of Team Losi and my history with Team Losi. So I think I've said this before, but my very first RC car, hobby grade RC car, was well, actually a Tamiya Bearhawk. But my second hobby grade RC car was a Team Losi Junior T. And that, you know, the step up from a Tamiya kind of entry-level buggy into a, I guess, a Team Losi entry-level stadium truck, because the Juniors, the Junior T and the Junior 2 were their entry-level vehicles. But it was a significant change in performance and tunability, going from friction dampers to oil-filled shocks, ball differentials, adjustable suspension linkages. It was more of a competitive type of vehicle. But let's back up a little bit for Team Losi. So Team Losi came out with their first car, which is the JRXT in 1988. This was Team Losi's response to Team Associated's RC10. And then later on in 1989, they came out with the JRXT. So I have here an original JRXT. I'll go ahead and let's get this out of the way since we're talking about this. So this is almost, actually I would say this is a mint condition JRXT. The wheels are from a different car, so these are used wheels, but they're in pretty good condition. But the JRXT is known for that 5-link rear suspension, the graphite chassis plate. But this is a late model because it has the hole cut out for the servo saver. The early models didn't have that cut out, and they actually had the servo saver was built into the steering bell cranks. They were basically little flexures, but they're also known for braking, and a lot of people would reinforce them because it wasn't functional. Or it wasn't, sorry, it was functional, but it wasn't robust. So after releasing the JRX2, they released the JRXT with a longer chassis, or with a longer wheelbase. And they went from a 20-degree kick on the front to a 30-degree kick in the front. And then this chassis carried on to the JRX Pro with the same wheelbase, same kick up. And then when you got into the JRX Pro SE in 1992, they went with their fiber reinforced injection molded chassis. And the JRX Pro SE was a narrower version of what the Junior 2 and the Junior T were using. Alright, so we've got a JRX2 here with that injection molded chassis, and this came out in 1990, and then the T came out in 91. And I picked up a T in 91. I think I was in junior high at the time. And then fast forward to 35 years later, or 34, 33 years later, and we get our the minis. And Losi's been doing minis for a while now, so they've got that kind of dialed in. And then they've been doing these retro re-releases in the mini version. So here we have a JRX2 mini, which was released last year. And this is a fun little car. It stays true to the original platform. You've got carbon fiber shock towers, oil-filled shocks, the silver body shocks, the 5-link rear suspension, even down to the battery holder. It's basically a scaled down version of the JRX2. And that's what we're hoping to get with the JRXT. Actually, this is not the first video out there, so we've seen Retro RC did a really good video. They got some early release of the Mini JRXT, and they kind of did a good overview of the vehicle. And also a lot of this information, it's not out of my brain, I'm not that smart. There's a good database called vintagelosi.com, which kind of goes through the history of the Losi cars. And then RC10 Talk also is a great database for information on the Losi cars, as well as the nuances between the different cars And even the different, they have a great thread kind of going over the nuances of the different versions of the same part. Because, you know, there's parts on these cars that get leveraged across all the cars, but there's slight changes in them over the years. And so if you know if you know what to look for, you can kind of get old versus new versions of those parts, depending on what you're trying to do with your build. So, without further ado, let's get into the new car. Before I get into the unboxing, I just wanted to say something real quick. I wanted this truck so bad that I actually ordered it from 3 different shops online, because there was no guarantees. I usually go to Tower Hobbies, but Tower Hobbies has been pretty unreliable as far as delivering new releases. And I also ordered it from Horizon Hobby and A-Main. I think Tower actually drop ships from Horizon. I could be wrong. So I actually received shipping notification from Tower and from Horizon on the same day, and then I went ahead and canceled the A-Main order. That being said, I have a couple of extras of these that I don't need. If you're looking for one of these and they're sold out, you can go ahead and hit me up. Send me an email. My email is in the channel description. I'm not trying to make any money on these, so I'll be selling them for whatever I paid for them. I've already seen that there's people that have these listed on eBay for like 600 bucks, which is kind of dumb. I don't even think they've received them yet because they don't list the serial number that they got. So anywho, these are, what do these go for? They go for like 160 or something, 169. So you shouldn't be paying more than that for them. So I'll go ahead and flip the camera around and we can do a proper unboxing. Thanks for watching. Alright, so let's jump into this. The box has a great presentation. I think one of the cool things is, well, I think it's cool, but I also think it's kind of silly. These are limited runs that are only making 5,000, and then on the box there's a label. This is number 49 of 5,000, so it's a low number. It doesn't mean anything. But I think as a company like Horizon, I don't really understand the reason for doing a limited run. Their goal is to make money, so why not make as many as the demand dictates. Who knows? I'm not a marketing guy. I don't even work for a large company that sells a lot of high volume stuff. Alright, so let's go ahead and open this up. It's still sealed. I haven't opened it. Okay, so here is what we come to expect. We've got, so this is an RTR, true RTR, in that it has everything you need to run. It has all the batteries, chargers. This whole thing comes out. This will be a box that we will try to save. Like I've said before, I don't have room for empty boxes, so we'll save it and use it for a storing stuff. It was supposed to be raining today, but there's a break in the weather, so I might go ahead and get this out and run it a little bit as some additional footage for this video. So here's a quick little science experiment. So with aluminum, even though it's non-magnetic, when you pass a magnetic field across it, it generates eddy currents and actually will slow, so the magnet won't stick to it. But when it tries to move across it, it actually acts like a brake. No, this is a neodymium magnet on an aluminum plate. So it just, and actually that's how you get kind of resistance flywheels from like spin bikes. They have an aluminum flywheel with magnets, permanent magnets that they adjust the gap on. So the reason I brought this over here is to see if this is in fact aluminum versus actually the screws are going to interfere with that. But the fact that it slides off indicates that this is not metallic. I've already proven that the chassis is not aluminum. And then a little bit of Google search, and even you don't have to do a Google search, you just go to Horizon's website where they describe these two products. and they tell you exactly what the chassis is made out of. These are fiberglass chassis. You know, the JRXT is one of my favorite trucks, stadium trucks out there, and it's arguably the original stadium truck. I love the look of it. I like the body, I like the paint job, I like the wheels, the orange wheels, having that 5-link rear suspension. You know, just the stance of the truck is cool. When you see those front wheels kind of turned and they kind of dig in. It's just a cool looking truck. I mean, there's no getting around that. So I've always liked the JRXT. I never had one. My buddy had one. Actually, my buddy got a JRXT back in the day, and that's kind of when I got the Junior T. So I mean, maybe we were kind of indoctrinated into it, but I don't know. We started off with Losi, and I've always been a Losi fan since then. You know, they really did stay true to the JRX2 and the JRXT. So back in the day, they had the JRX2s, and then they came out with the JRXT, and then a lot of people were converting from the JRX2 to the JRXT with, it didn't take much, it's basically wheels and shock towers and shocks. The 5-link was the same. The wheelbase was a little shorter on the JRX2, so I don't know how they got around that, but they were converting the JRX2s to Ts. But you could tell the JRX2 chassis steps in here, it kind of curves in on the front, whereas on the JRXT it's straight, and that's how it was originally. And this would actually be reminiscent of an early JRXT chassis because it doesn't have the cutout for the servo saver, which came a little later. In this truck, let's go and take the body off. So in this truck, the servo saver is built into the servo, but back in the day, Losi have these huge servo savers. They were big enough where you needed a cutout in the chassis because they sat proud of the body of the servo. So let's kind of compare these two to see if there's differences. So we've got, you know, the same 5-link, same rear shock tower. This has the body mount. We've got similar motor plates. This motor plate is engraved, so we're number 49 out of 5,000. So we're running Spectrum Electronics, obviously, Horizon. You know, one of those nuanced version parts I was talking about are the front A-arms. These A-arms get used on all the cars from the JRX2 to the JRX Pro, to the JRX Pro SE, to the JRXT, to the Junior T, to the Junior 2. That's when they switch over to different geometry on the front arms. But there are two versions of these arms. The later versions have this little kind of more of a roundish divot on the top and bottom. And then the early versions were more triangular. This divot is actually triangular. So, like, I've been trying to get together an early JRX2 build, and I've been on the lookout for new triangle, kind of the newer version of these arms, but it's a nuance that not very many people know about or pay attention to. The other thing is there's these kind of sought after motor plates on the JRX2 that are unlabeled and unnotched. Back here there's a notch on all the motor plates for that era of Losi cars. And the notch was basically for this upper link to be able to go in more, so you had a longer link. A lot of people wanted the longer links, so they would notch them themselves. So you can find unmarked motor plates that are notched by hand, which have been butchered essentially. Unmarked, unnotched motor plates are actually somewhat hard to come across in good shape. There's one listed on eBay that's been there for a long time because they're trying to get 300 bucks for the motor plate. I don't think it'll ever sell for that much. There's actually two versions of the unmarked, unnotched motor plates as well. There's a raw one, and then there's a clear anodized one. I have the clear anodized version. I think the raw ones are even harder to find because they're kind of pre-production prototypes. But just another little nuance with the Losi stuff. There's different versions of these links that you can get. There's different versions of these link carriers. So these two vehicles have, so this actually has a different front shock tower then the so this has the JRXT shock tower. This has the JRX2 shock tower, so that's cool. They have the same bulkheads. The original Junior 2s didn't, or JRX2s didn't have bumpers. I think the bumpers came along with the Pro, maybe. And then the JRXT uses the same front bumper as the Junior T, which is basically an integrated bumper slash body mount. So you can imagine the body actually sticks out further than this quote-unquote bumper, and so the body is more of a bumper than this thing. This is more of a skid plate. What else? We got the sliding. I always thought these are cool, the sliding UJs. So we have inner outer UJs with sliding drive shaft. Whereas like the RC10s had UJs. Well, I think the original RC10s were dog bones, and then you could get the MIP UJs or CVDs depending, where it was the outer joint was the UJ slash CVD and the inner was still a dog bone with a dog bone cup, where Losi had inner outer UJs. And those are kind of cool, right? I don't think we saw these very often in other RC car manufacturers. What else? We got adjustable tie rods versus threaded shafts. Actually, so let's go ahead and pull up the original JRXT and try to compare those two. Actually, while I'm doing all this talking, let's go ahead and pull the battery out and put a little charge on it so we can run it. Alright, so this is not, I didn't build this truck. I'm not the original owner. I picked this up a while ago. So it has a body that was done in the same scheme as the JRXT, but not very well. There's a lot of bleed through on that paint job. So there's a company called Successor, and they make kind of these re-release parts. So they make a JRXT body kit. It comes with decals, window masks, and I think it's cheaper than Team Blue. Well, Team Blue Group doesn't have a dedicated JRXT body. And Successor also makes a couple of other parts. They do 3D printed parts, but I tend to stay away from those. But they do make some injection molded parts, like the front bulkhead on the Double X, I think, which is a common part that breaks. So if you're after a body, Successor is a place to go for JRXT stuff. So here's the JRXT versus the mini JRXT. So we got the ribbed front wheels. So we got the Proline Gladiators on the rear of this truck versus the original spiked, round spiked tires. So just looking at the back, so this is Team Losi Performance, this says JRX2. There were different markings on these cars throughout the years. You got very similar. So this has the cutout, which came later for that servo saver. This is the original, or these are the kind of late model arms. You can see what I was talking about, that little red divot versus a triangular cutout here. I don't know if these servo holes were original or not. If we took a straight edge on these holes, you would see that they're crooked to the chassis. So that right there is an indicator that these are not from the factory, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I will use them when I get a servo mounted to this guy. So the rear shock tower looks identical, just shrunk down. Same with the body mounts. The links are of a different plastic, but very similar in geometry. Same battery mount, same antenna mount. This antenna mount is missing the little ring clip that basically pinches on that to pinch on the antenna. Then we get into the front shock tower. It looks correct. Bell cranks are correct. These are a pink plastic, and I don't know what the original color was on these versus a black plastic. And then we've got the turnbuckles versus the juniors. The Junior 2 and the Junior T came with just threaded rods. So you basically have to pop off a ball, make your adjustment, and pop it back on. And even that doesn't take too long. Usually sometimes when you turn these turnbuckles, they pop off the balls anyways. The JRXT actually comes with a slipper built into it, which is kind of cool. I don't know if, I mean, it looks like it might be functional, but I don't. Oh yeah, there's a spring in there, so you can adjust it. Yeah, I mean it's pretty true to form. The JRXT has shorter links, as does the Mini. These look like they might be 2 or 3 piece wheels. Well, so the JRXTs have 3 piece wheels. There's an inner and outer, then there's a little ring on the inside to pinch the tires. I don't know what these are. If they're, these actually look like the tires are glued on, so maybe these screws are just cosmetic, and maybe it's not a 2-piece rim. I'm trying to see if the it looks like this comes with ball bearings, which is nice. I saw a video of this guy and they're running it. It does about 16 miles an hour, so it's not that fast. I'm actually thinking about upgrading one of my Minis just to get a little more speed out of it, and I'd probably just go with some kind of a brushless setup. In which case I would need to come up with the receiver as well, because this does have an integrated speed controller and receiver. There's a lot of people kind of taking the Mini scale to a whole new level, or where they try to get it even closer to the original, and so I've seen some people with like miniature Dean's connectors between the motor and the speed controller, but there's, you know, people will do anything if you give them the inspiration, right? So yeah, there's not, I mean it's a Mini, right? And so I think they did a great job with the body. The body is white, the rear of the body is painted red, and I believe the bed of the truck is also painted black. Then when you get into these colors here, including this strip across the front, all these colors are decals. You can peel that back and kind of see that that is in fact a decal. The hood is decal. These are decals. The roof is a decal. So yeah, it's still, you know, it's painted up in 3 colors. But the rest of it is decals, which is fine. It's a very iconic, cool looking body. I'm glad that they went with the bigger body clips. These are what came with the Junior T versus these which came with the JRX2. These small ones are, well, I have big fingers, so they're hard to work with, versus these bigger ones. So we'll keep this out so that we can run it. Let's go ahead and put this guy away. The other nice thing about the stadium truck is that you can reach your fingers underneath the body to turn it on and off, whereas you can't do that with the buggy. Here's the running footage of the brand new Losi Mini JRXT. Centered on a little bit of grass. That's where the Mini falls apart. Alright, so we're back from running the Mini JRXT. you know, it's a fun little truck. It's what I expected. It's not very fast. It is squirrely. I'd like to get it in some dirt. I was just driving it out in front of the house. It's actually, and I was trying to hit those jumps, and it's so squirrely that it's really hard to make corrections. So I ended up turning down my steering weights to the lowest setting so that I could get kind of a nice lineup and make small corrections as I approach the ramps, and that seemed to work fine. But you know, for what it is, it's a fun little truck to drive. We went through the whole pack and just that little test drive. So that's all I've got for today. Thank you for tuning into the channel and watching to the end. I appreciate it. If you find yourself coming back, please go ahead and subscribe, and if you like the video, hit the like button. Take care. Bye.